That's the sound of a penguin sculpting ice while playing the kazoo. And now we're into the podcast. We've started for the day. What is good with you? And let's move on, shall we? Oh, no, 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 no. How are we moving into this one? What are we moving towards? I'm going to start by going into the TAM definition. The TAM definition. The TAM definition. What does that mean? It means the total addressable market. The total addressable market. That today has been the focus of today. In today's news, every day we go on and we are today gonna talk about the TAM, total addressable market, and what that corresponds to, which is e-commerce. E-commerce is what we're trying to get into right about now, and that is because there are multiple avenues in terms of energy sculpting and how it is meant to be part of this participatory experience that is a sort of type of a podcast, but who knows what it actually is. It's really just a sort of a journey that is an elliptical spaceship that is trying to get into the realm of e-commerce in this little blurb of chit-chatting as we go forward in this little back and forth arrangement of me spitting out randomness and you just sort of experience and listening for the heck of it because you may as well. I suppose you could say. So what I mean by the total addressable market and also focusing on e-commerce is that it's worth it because there are various types of markets that exist by combining different elements and avenues that also equates to a niche. And a niche is what is meant to be focused on in terms of total addressable markets because markets also equals philanthropic energy. Philanthropy energy is the focus of the backdrop of what DINKY is focused on, and most of the time, all the times, that's why he's focused on e-commerce today, because we're trying to travel around through the e-commerce lands to be able to focus on how to use e-commerce as philanthropic energy. And how do we do that? We want to try to focus on philanthropic energy by using total addressable markets and traveling through the e-commerce world to be able to use energy in the online space to be able to focus on how to collectively develop more philanthropic energy, please, if you will. Philanthropic energy also causes the ability to travel through spaces and places and time within this world so that we can collectively develop packages and packaging so that we have not just the instance and the interest of monetary energy, which is the type of energy that backs up money, but also the type of energy that focuses on global collective energy and also philanthropic energy, but also different packages of different businesses to be able to collectively develop new markets, and new markets equal different energies that develop spectrums across the world and across the land that connect all people and all people's energies within themselves, and then the markets beyond that, because markets are just bigger pools that entail different fish inside of them that are people that are trying to, in essence, the businesses are trying to take fish out of the pools because they're just trying to fish for sales and such things. And so what we're talking about e-commerce is almost like a symbol for trying to find different markets in different ways and different niches and different figurative focuses for how to collectively package different types of energy, and that therefore when you draw it out into a bigger web, turns into a spectrum of different types of energies that cross over and overlap and are very interesting and peculiar. And if you package them together, you can take different conglomerates of different types of businesses, and you package them, put them in buckets, and then take them out and switch them and put them into baskets. You can make different types of energy marinades and put all kinds of cornucopias of energy together by just focusing on e-commerce in this instance, because that's how also you can find opportunity in e-commerce as well. There's different overlapping items that can be sold and also items that can be made, invented, manufactured, developed by first finding an addressable market and traveling through different markets to begin with to have all kinds of energy to lean upon to begin with. And so from there, what that means is trying to really visualize and get into visualizations, because that helps to also transition to what I started to talk about yesterday, in addition to eye-opening content by yelling at people basically in their eyeballs by trying to get them to pay attention to begin with and have like the first 3 seconds of something be useful in terms of messaging and selling something online in terms of e-commerce, and doing that again and again for different niches and different markets. In addition to that, what I sort of started to try to talk about yesterday, which was on a podcast that got erased somehow because it just wasn't there because it was maybe too long of a podcast and then the audio wasn't there, was different audiences that we're trying to address through the greater interest of the Dinky Tech game plan, which has to do with sort of a real estate play. It's sort of interesting. It has to also do with apps and applications and developing apps like for the Apple App Store, for example. But in essence, what we were trying to do is make apps that are sort of collaborative and like work towards the collaborative markets of like influencers, coaches, and consultants. And in addition, also businesses have audiences as well. They have audiences as well. Businesses do. So as a result, it's like a collaborative energy trying to draw upon those businesses' energies by bringing apps into those businesses, and it's a way to search for audiences. Audiences are also interchangeable concepts and words for markets. Markets are interchangeable words for markets, and audiences are interchangeable words because audiences stand for different cultures and culturizations of certain types of audiences that revolve around a niche and a certain cause and a specific cause, which is what philanthropic energy revolves around as well. So therefore, it's very relevant for the greater longer term interests of DigiTech, which is also trying to focus on that real estate play, which kind of has to do with businesses that are for sale, and that's how it connects to real estate somewhat, because sometimes they have real estate for sale in addition to businesses being for sale. So we're going to try to hopefully connect that with businesses that are able to do videos for themselves to be able to hope to try to sell themselves, and then in the process be able to try to put that under the real estate market. And in the real estate market, we try to hopefully try to have an easier sale time of selling. And in addition, we try to add apps and applications to be able to develop and pull out the audiences from within businesses to be able to exemplify the audiences, to also add value to the audiences. And then in addition, we call it something to try to add maybe value to different businesses to be able to combine them together and call them Beyonce, I mean, so that it's like the visual albums of Beyonce, where the different businesses are putting their different visual albums together by documenting some of their own business energy and then putting it together with, it's like Beyonce's visual album, to be able to put that all together into one larger album, which is then considered a roll-up, and that roll-up can be packaged and sold into a larger price at the end of the day, so all of the participating businesses are happier in the long run. And it kind of touches on those three things: applications, businesses for sale, and video making within the companies themselves, and then also real estate somewhat, if that pinnacle triangle can connect ultimately to be able to make roll-ups. And then on the backside of that, we have something called Spurlock, which is a symbol for the Morgan Spurlock movie, which in essence is like the movie that he made where he funded the whole movie with advertising and different advertisements, but we want to do that with like different types of music and such things, like Yanni, the performer, did with different types of music and things and from different directions and such for the music aspect, and then also be able to combine and condense and connect different philanthropic energies and philanthropic organizations through connections and collaborations, and also product sponsorships. So the products sponsorships as well as philanthropy sponsorships are possible to come together in the center and be able to, all those organizations are able to come together in terms of collaboration. And at the end of all that, there's philanthropic energy that is caused on the back end of roll-ups that are first sold, by the Beyonce symbol, and then sold on the back end into something called Spurlock, which is a symbol for a philanthropic energy video, which is the combination of different musicians and philanthropic organizations, as well as product organizations that are sponsorships, all in a collective mush pot to be able to develop a large collaborative video to be able to lean into developing philanthropy on the back end, doing things that are philanthropic in the different parts of the world, like a brokerage, like a real estate brokerage, but hopefully on the back end of all of our sales, we do different philanthropic activities all around the world to be able to document them and to be able to make like Spurlock type of developmental documented films on the back end of selling roll-ups on the front end that is also correlative to the location-based nature of where these elements occur. So it's like flash mobs in different parts of the world when they all come together and happen and occur and are seen at the back end. So we do music and hopefully videos that are collaborative with known artists and things and people that can be able to influence, and then therefore also be able to document the philanthropy that's happening, because we're trying to put some of the money into philanthropy, but also be able to fund it through the participation of other sponsorships as well, and be able to document that and make it an interesting, peculiar documentary, and very interesting and peculiar indeed by whatever elements that participate that also are revolving around philanthropy that is being built from the ground up, in addition, like building some church someplace or something in addition to that, but in physical form, being able to document that process and then being able to also have that philanthropy perpetually go forward into the world and time, and then have a whole brokerage that is revolving around that interest as things move on, things move along. It's also symbolized by a little blurb called brokers, BNB, which is sort of like a symbol for the platform that's meant to be symbolically being built on the back end of that, like Airbnb, somewhat in as a symbology. And in the last part of this, we'll try to touch on the manufacturing elements that we hope to do in terms of like not just sort of merchandise, but like the logo for Dinky Techies guy wearing a necklace that is made of rainbows in essence. So we want that rainbow necklace to be somewhat of a symbol for the manufacturing that we're doing to try to manufacture light and rainbows to be able to, in essence, not only be able to make jewelry and such things like a rainbow necklace that is kind of nifty and also can be participatory in global games with like microchips that are inside of the necklaces that are able to help contribute to different elements of fun, interesting, participatory games that are also philanthropic that connect all people in the world as people play them and make borders irrelevant while people play them and have different interesting jewelry and fascinating, fun, interesting accessories that we are also helping cause to help bring about so that fun, interesting art is more spread about into the world and all these collaborative energy is able to help cross over and coalesce. So there's different elements of energy that's crossing over and causing games to be able to develop more interesting philanthropic energy as time goes on. And hopefully that expands and extends continuously and effectively on an ongoing basis. And one of the last things we were considering yesterday as well in terms of development element is the use of like an alpine slide type situation type thing, which we're trying to develop as well in terms of a little fun, little manufacturing, little item, little device, little get around type scooter that is sort of interesting, fun, interesting, unique. You'd have to see a picture. It's kind of neat. Interesting, nifty. I'll tell you when you ride it, it's somewhat, yeah, like an alpine slide, if you will. But also, yeah, kind of like a scooter, but hopefully there's bit more suspension, so it's a little bit more fun and interesting and such, but also causes like games for change, like riding around the streets as a young kid, like in the Mario Kart games. But regardless, hopefully we'll try to make more vehicles and have the more capabilities to be able to manufacture more goods and items and such things as more time continues to pass and we hopefully get some more resources and partnerships like the network partnerships of that we have aspired towards and such things with art that goes from low to Dorothy and eyeballs within trying to grab eyeballs within the first 3 seconds to be able to hopefully carry on and have that energy perpetuate and perpetually make some philanthropic energy. And thanks again. Have a good day. Thank you, Tech. Peace.